What's good, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about tunability, the mechanic that is being introduced into 3.0 that is way deeper than we first thought and is causing a lot of conversation. Now, I thought I would take the time to explain it, go through and give my thoughts on it. Cap, oh my god, aren't you a casual tourist? Why would I trust your opinion? Well, because I'm based, okay? And listen, you might be surprised to know, but I actually pay attention and I like to actually read about these things and inform myself, okay? So we're gonna go through this and actually have a little discussion about tunability. One, how it works. Two, how this is probably going to affect future upcoming characters. And three, how this might affect your decisions for what you want to pull for come 3.0, which is what, we're 10 days out right now from like the patch dropping. So hey, we got time to think about it and have time to have this discussion. I want to preface, I do not want to doom post to this mechanic. It is not here yet. I cannot test it. I am not a beta tester. I can't play the game. I'm not here to doom post. I am here to speculate, look at the objective facts. I will see when 3.0 actually comes out and we can test things, and then I'll give a more concrete opinion on if this is a good thing or a bad thing. The only thing I want to discuss today is just the objective facts of the situation, and maybe then we could speculate afterwards, okay? But here we go. We're going to start off with actually looking at the live stream and seeing what exactly the developers are saying, okay? Because this is where they introduce something very interesting. So let's go back and see what they have to say. So here they are saying, we have another new feature to introduce.
After the
version 3.0 update, we took a different design approach for some of the new resonators. So what they are about to introduce is not specific to only Lynae. Other resonators in 3.0 are going to have this new skill feature. Okay. We've added skill resonance mode switch buttons on the skill interface here. So Lynae is not going to be the only character that has this function. There'll be other characters in 3.0 that will be able to switch different states. So you might be wondering, what is this? What does this mean? Well, essentially, obviously, they have added tunability and tune break into Wuthering Waves, and every single character can mistune or tune break an enemy. However, there are only certain characters that once you tune break them, you can put them into certain additional states that they've called interference. And right now, there is Rupture and Strain. So everyone can mistune an enemy, only certain characters can then give them an additional effect and put them in an interfered either Rupture or Strain. We'll get into that. This is the important bit when it comes down to her kit. Based on the skill effects you selected pre-battle, staining an enemy who enters the mistuned state. So once you tune break an enemy, they become mistuned. So depending what you chose for Lynae, they will have an additional effect on the enemy. Into Rupture or Strain. So you will either Rupture or Strain the enemy. With different effects, and they have put out a bit more of an in-detailed look on what exactly that means. So let's go and have a look into the specifics of this tunability and this tune break mechanic. Here we go. So this is what it says. If a shifting affected enemy is hit by tune break from any resonator, the enemy will enter a corresponding interfered state, which will last for a time. Certain resonators can cause additional effects and gain buffs when attacking targets in the interfered state. So a shifting affected enemy. So Lynae is a character that can either Rupture or Strain an enemy. Okay, you choose that before you go into your fight, and then you essentially shift the enemy. They become shifting affected. Okay, so when they end up being mistuned, they are either ruptured or strained depending on what you pick. Okay, there are two types of interfered: tune rupture interfered and tune strain interfered. These two types of interfered cannot exist simultaneously for the same enemy. Inflicting a second type will remove the one that already exists. So this means you want to see what enemy you are fighting and see what will be best for you, or see what your team composition is and go ahead with what will work best for you. Okay, it's probably unlikely you're going to want to be going to rupture to strain, We don't know. But right now, that's kind of how this plays out. Okay, let's talk about Rupture. Resonators who can respond to Tune Rupture can unleash one special attack on targets in this state. The cooldown of each Resonator's special attack on a specific target is calculated separately. So that's how this one works. If you mistune and you use the Rupture shifting, right? This enemy then becomes in the Rupture interfered state, and the consequence of that is certain characters will be able to do a special attack. This is very character specific. Not every character will be able to do this. Only certain characters will be able to work with the Rupture state, and if they do, they will be able to do an additional attack on the target. The interesting thing is, it is not a global cooldown. Any Resonator who has the ability to interact with the Rupture interference state will have different cooldown times for that special ability. Some might be slower and deal more damage. Some might be quicker and deal less damage. We don't know, okay? We won't know until we see the Resonator lineup for 3.0, essentially. Second one, we have Strain Interference State. Resonators who can respond to Tune Strain Interfered deal additional damage to targets in this state. Damage bonuses increase if you have more Resonators who respond to Tune Strain Interfered in your team. And they have used a picture of Morny here, which makes us believe that Morny is going to be a character that responds to Tune Strain. Essentially, rather than you doing a special attack that unleashes like burst damage, this works as a buff, or you get a damage amp essentially and buffs for just doing your regular attacks. And now you are incentivized to build Tune Strain teams, right? The more Strain characters you have on a team, the more damage you deal. Kind of like how you would have a mono fusion team to deal more damage overall. If you have a mono Strain team, a team that relies on the Strain mechanic, they will all be doing increased elevated damage. That's kind of what this is promoting. So this is promoting more of a mono Strain sort of team if you can do that, right? If you have the ability to do that, that's probably what that meta is going to be, because obviously more Strain equals more damage in this case. Certain Resonators can respond to Tune Rupture or Tune Strain. Resonators Lynae and Morny can respond to both Tune Rupture and Tune Strain. You can include them in your team as you see fit. This is the important takeaway here. As of 3.0, only Morny and Lynae can interact with these new interfered states. Every character in 1.0 and 2.0 can mistune enemies and have, the mistune like additional attack, but they cannot interact with Rupture or Strain, okay? Lynae, whatever you want to call them, is the only one that can shift an enemy into Rupture or Strain. Okay, that's the only character that can do that as of 3.0. We don't know about Rover yet. I would like to assume that Rover would have that ability. We can talk about that later. But Lynae is the only character that can do this as of 3.0, and Morny is the only one that can respond to that. So these characters are going to work pretty well with each other right out the gate of 3.0. Now, we can have the conversation of, it's kind of crazy that they're both on the same patch and they're on the same like banner essentially, but that's a conversation for us to have. It really depends on how much more powerful these characters are, depending on 2.0 and 1.0 characters. I'm gonna be honest, I am expecting a level of power creep when it comes to 3.0. This is a gacha game. I'm expecting it to happen. Just to what extent? And it seems like Lynae and Morny can work together pretty well synergistically, that you could probably incorporate other previous characters into this team and then have them all still work. So that will be interesting to try out and test. Again, I want to wait for 3.0 to actually come out before I sit here and be like, this is a really bad thing, this is awful, all team building's going out the goddamn window, okay? Because don't forget, like, we have other things to look forward to when it comes to 3.0 and characters, and they said that there are going to be some other additional Resonators that are going to have this skill switching ability, okay? So it's not just going to be Lynae who is probably going to be able to do this, okay? There's probably going to be other characters that can also Rupture and Strain later on. So I really think people think right now Lynae is like a must pull, But I'm gonna be honest, I would place a bet there will be other characters that can do this later on down the line as well, but they just provide different buffs to characters that then interact with it. That's kind of how I think about this. So maybe there will be another character in 3.0 that can cause rupture or strain, but the character that the resonator that interacts with that will get different buffs than what Lynae would give you. You know what I mean? Maybe it gives you increased basic attack, or maybe it gives you increased like a damage bonus type, or whatever it is. I think that might be the way they go down with this later on and niche it even more. That could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you feel about it, niching down supports, because we've kind of seen that happen. Like, as of right now, Chissa is kind of like a very niche support, you know, a negative status character that like only really replaces Era Rover, and she doesn't interact with Morny or Lynae in any meaningful way. So maybe, you know, something that will happen with that later on down the line. But this is basically what this tunability is coming to right now. So I've seen conversations of people being like, Lynae is an absolute must pull, and I'm not so sure that she's going to be a must pull. I'm gonna be real. Yes, she will be the only character that basically she's a proxy to allow strain and rupture to be apparent. I don't think she's going to be the only character that does this, and that comes from the words of the devs themselves. The other characters will have this skill switching ability. Okay, so I really think that other characters will be able to do this, but they will provide additional buffs later on. So I don't think people should panic when it comes to pulling. I don't think it's going to be this thing of like, I need to pull her if I want this to work, because I really have this feeling of like there's going to be other characters that do this too. It's not a sure keeper situation. I don't think it's like this Chissa situation of like, she's going to work with all these characters. I think others are going to do it too. So I think we can like calm down and be calm with this and see how it plays out. So yeah, because they even say here, you can include them in your teams as you see fit. Okay. So I really do feel it's this case of we can have Lynae and Morny together if you want, and just include anyone and they're all going to work. I'm hoping to trust Kuro that they're not going to completely rewrite all these team metas and only these teams are going to work and be viable. I think the way they want to go about this is like, you can include other characters into these teams and just have it work and just have things do damage. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. And I don't think they're going to include Rupture or Strain to older characters. I don't. If you think that that is going to happen or that's going to be the case, I think we're coping. I think we'd be coping with that. I don't think that's going to happen. Again, they've already added tunability and tuning and mistuning to every character. I don't think they're going to add Rupture and Strain to old ones too, or have you interact with that mechanic either. If they do, that would be a W, but I don't think they will. So I think we should expect a level of power creep when it comes to teams, but see how these characters also interact with the older ones. So that's kind of my thoughts on the whole thing, and I think this is a pretty reasonable outlook on all of this. I don't think anyone needs to be going crazy and pulling for Lynae because she's the only way you're going to be doing damage in 3.0. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to happen. So people shouldn't be worried. Okay, so that's what you have to say from your silly little Welsh girl. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe. 60% of you that watch my videos don't subscribe, by the way. That's crazy. You should, because if you do, your penile grows like 20 inches overnight. I know, it's like wild, so you should do that. I appreciate y'all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Twitch.tv/Captain Cabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.